Hey guys, Todd with Great Escape Farms here. Today I am troubleshooting a snowblower. It is a Yard Machines by MTD. It's an OHV 179cc, and if you do a Google search it will come up with a bunch of different things. Also of note is 21 inch. It's a 4-cycle engine here, so it has separate gas and oil, not mixed together. And the issue that I have been having is that when I try to start it, with the choke on, and when I'm pushing gas in, I get some firing, but it just it will not start. Every once in a while it'll start, but it won't stay running. So my initial thought would be that it is the carburetor. I pulled the spark plug out and I had spark, and that made me want to go ahead and swap out the carburetor. So I went ahead and I ordered a carburetor, and I will show you how to put that in here. First, let me show you the symptoms here. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can just show you what it's doing. So it is an electric start, so this will start it here, and the first thing I'll do is I have it in the running position. The key is in. Let me go to choke. I'll give it a couple of hits here, and we'll try to start it. That had nothing going. Let me add a couple more. And of course, it all changes while you have a video on it, but I actually did have it kicking and sputtering a little bit when I was doing that before. So a lot of times if I was pushing this while I was running it, it would sputter, but this time it's not going to do that. Okay guys, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to replace the carburetor here, and it's a little bit of a task to get at it, but I'll explain it here. I'm not going to fully remove this because I actually did it previously, but I will show you how to access it and how to get to it. So first thing you have to do is remove choke knob. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to knock you around there. Remove the throttle knob, pull the emergency key out here. You'll notice that there are 2 screws here. Those will have to come out, and those are, let's see, what are those? Those are 10 millimeter. And then you have a screw here and here that have to come out, and those have to be removed with us. So this requires a socket to get at, either a socket or a handheld socket like I have. Up here it requires a wrench to get at, because you can't get a socket at it. Let me move the camera around so you can see what we have here on this side. So this is the one that I said that you had to remove. That this is actually part of what holds the carburetor on. You have to remove that one, that one. You have to remove this assembly right here because there's an exhaust that comes out, and you'll see when I remove it, but you have to take the exhaust pipe off. So you have to take the protector off and the pipe off. On this side right here, there are 2 screws. So there is one right there where my finger is, and there is another one that's back here, and you can't see it from right here, actually. So it's at the very tip of where my finger is, and mine is removed because I've had this off a number of times doing work on it, and that is a pain in the butt to get at, so I just left mine off. But you can get at it with a wrench. It's just a very cumbersome spot to get to, and like I say, I just left mine off. Okay, let me go ahead and take the exhaust off here. So this one is, let's see, I'm using a 1/4 size socket here, and I didn't seem to have anything metric that matched up with it, but the 1/4 size did. So I'm just gonna go with it. So we'll take this off. There's 3 screws here. And you see what I mean right now, that I have the exhaust coming out right here. And there's actually another 1/4 inch screw in here that's kind of difficult to see and to get at. Give a couple turns there, and this whole thing comes up. So that's what it looks like right there. Usually it's facing down, so as you see the exit to the exhaust here. It's on the downward side, so you can come out with that. Okay, so now we can come straight off with the exhaust piece. So I will start removing our other screws here. And there's one, and remember there's one on the inside there that I had already removed. I'll remove everything that we can access from here, and then I will go ahead and shift the camera around to the other side. And it's actually these pieces right here that hold the carburetor on. So the carburetor's sitting right back here. So when we lift the housing off, actually we can lift the housing off beforehand. And let me move that camera around this way. Okay. So I'll remove the upper housing before we remove the other bottom piece there. So like I say, I've had mine on and off quite a few times, so they're fairly clean and easy to take off hand tight once you, or just with your hand as you crank it around here. So the metal top piece kind of holds everything together, and in order to access anything, you have to take it off. And it doesn't give you access to too much more, it just pulls straight up. And you can see in here that the carburetor is down underneath of here. Let's see if I can show it. It's down underneath of here, and there's no way to really access it or clean it or do anything with it. This is all a air cleaning chamber up here that you really can't spray any cleaner in or anything else easily. So the only way to access it is to remove this whole plastic piece, and I removed one piece. The metal top part holds it on a little bit, and then these two screws here hold it on for the rest. So I pull that off, lay it down. And okay, so there's a 1/4 inch screw back here that you have to access to remove, and again mine was already off. And then this pulls up, and this is kind of flexes out, and then you pull the whole thing out, and at that point you can just slide it off. So what we end up with is we have this piece goes into the exhaust of the overhead manifold, this piece right here, and then we have our electric piece over here, and this one is our primer pump right there that feeds directly in. And I'm gonna shift this around so that we have more light, because I was facing the wrong way there. So okay, that's much better light here. And one of the things I need to find, so if you notice, just by having everything off, this is ready to come right off. So a couple things I'll point out is your gas tank is right here. You have a direct fuel line directly into the carburetor there. So if you have any gas in here at all, it's all going to come spewing out as soon as you disconnect this to swap it out. And it has it has a pinch valve on it, so you pinch the valve together with a pair of pliers, and then you can pull the hose off. As soon as you do that, like I say, it's a direct line. The gas is going to come spewing out. So what I did is I had a fuel line valve, and I had a pack of them, and unfortunately I don't have any here with me to show you, but I just, as soon as I pulled this off, I had newspaper laying down underneath. I pulled it off, and I immediately slid the fuel line valve up there, and when I did the fuel line valve, that went ahead and I turned it to the shut-off position so I wasn't just blowing fuel all over the place. So that is how you remove it. You have to watch the gaskets here. I have reused these gaskets and haven't had any issues with it. There's also, you have your governor and your throttle valve back here. They're all spring-loaded, feeding into this line right here. You got to make sure that you hook them up and that nothing gets jammed up, and it can get rather tight in here. So you see there's a spring right here underneath. And sometimes I've had them get a little jammed up and the throttle just, it either isn't up enough or it gets jammed way up too high so it doesn't throttle back. So you got to make sure that there's nothing jammed up there. Push everything back in, hook it back up, and you are good to go. So that is how you access, and like I say, to change it, you just disconnect all the linkage here, watch how you disconnect it, and then reconnect it back up in reverse order the same way. Put it back on, and everything that I did, as a matter of fact, I will go ahead and show you how to put this back together here now. So again, got to make sure that the linkage is down. Make sure nothing is going to get in my way. You got to watch this hose right here. Make sure that it actually goes through and connects up. You have to connect up right here. Let me see if I'm going to see that. Got to connect the screws up right here, right, and all the linkage here. And this gets in your way. This end right here is kind of trying to push it up. A lot of times I kind of bend it out of the way, get it in where I want it. And let me see what I got going here. I hope I'm not shadowing this too much. Push it in, push my hose over. Still got something binding up on me. Oops, now I knocked my wires into my linkage there. Okay, and now I got it through. The main thing you're looking for is right down here to get about a 1/4 inch out. And that's the first piece I'm going to put on is right here, because this is kind of the key to everything else here. Let's hook that up and find my other one and hook it up. And then after this is hooked up, then I will go ahead and slide this piece in the back here. And again, if you're going to hook yours up, go ahead and hook it up. I am not going to be hooking mine up because I am always taking this apart. And it actually went right on. So this is the hose that we were looking at earlier that it went right into the overhead valve piece, so that's good. If that's not hooked up right, then you end up spewing stuff all over the place. This went into its little notch. Everything set right there. And at this point, we put the top piece back on. Let me slide this back a little. And you just put it back together in reverse of what you took it apart. So there's a little lip on the upper piece here. You got to get it under and the top piece on. Okay, and that got it. And then, oops, I need to do the lower one here first. And these are rather difficult to get at, but they're one of the main things holding the carburetor piece on, so I make sure that both of these are on. This one in. For right now, I'm just going to finger tighten everything. I will come back and tighten it with a wrench in a moment. Had it all set and I knocked it off. There we go. Put that one on. And then we'll put this one on. then my side one over here. Okay, those are all finger tight. Now, put the exhaust piece on right here. Slide over here just a little bit and make sure that the exhaust is pointed as you're facing it to the left. Push it in just a little bit, and you gotta put the socket up on the inside here. Okay, and that's in. And then, oh, and the exhaust here, you have to tighten that down. Well, I suppose you could. You do have access to it once this is on, but it's kind of harder to see with this on. There we go. That's that. And then we have that one. That one. Okay. And then in here, first thing to do is put the choke on. And then we'll put the rabbit on, or the throttle, and then this piece. Now we go back through and we tighten everything up, but once it's tightened up, we are good to go. So guys, here is a carburetor right here, and shows you the linkage and everything. This is an exact replica of what is installed there. So here's your fuel line in. Here is where the primer connects in, and all of your springs and stuff connect in up here. This I found on Amazon. Search on the Yard Machines OHV, what is it, 179cc, and on Amazon, and you can actually find this for $16. So a brand new carburetor for $16. I initially put a new carburetor in this and found out what I had. My actual issue ended up being a faulty spark plug that sometimes worked, sometimes it didn't, and it gave every indication like it was a fuel pump or a fuel carburetor. But for $16, I have a spare here, and figure you can't go wrong with that. So anyhow, that's it for this video. Thank you for tuning in. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Have a great day.